How to transition from something we like about Nintendo to something we don't like. Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass and its price. Take it away, Sovereign.
So, originally we were all complaining about having to pay for online, considering that with the beginning of the Switch launch and with the Wii U, we never had to pay for online. And so they stick a $20 price tag on the online services a year into the Switch's lifespan, which we all complained about, but they tacked on NES and eventually SNES games, and it was worth the price. But
I
with
do want to say, though, about the pricing, it did make sense over time just because that is industry standard.
I mean,
Nintendo was the one not doing industry standard, and they were leaving a lot of money on the table. And so it does make sense that they
I,
would eventually start charging.
yeah, I'm not going to defend the effects of capitalism on this.
I mean, fair.
But then this week happened, and we finally learned the price of the expansion pack, and boy, does everyone hate it. I mean, Nintendo got ratioed on their reveal trailer for it.
And what is the price, actually?
Oh, it is $49.99 for single players and $79.99 for the family pack.
$79.99?
Yes.
$80?
Yes.
Oh
And
my
all
god.
for what? We get
It's $80 a year?
$80 a year.
Who are they expecting to pay for that? Billionaire children?
And what do we get for it? We get Sega Genesis games, which no one was asking for, and
Hey, wait, wait.
they were already selling Sega Genesis games on the eShop already.
I was gonna say, people did want Sega Genesis games.
Well,
They didn't want it for this price, though.
but we already have it. Is the problem? They're already selling it on the eShop,
Oh, yeah.
and we also have N64 games, which another way to piss people off about Super Mario All Stars 3D.
I mean, we all saw that coming. The moment they said All Stars 3D was limited time only, we knew they were reselling this in the future, which is why I'm glad I bought it.
And for the final product that we're getting with this, we are getting an exclusive access to Animal Crossing New Horizons DLC, and that's it.
Wait, the DLC is locked behind.
You can buy the pass to forego purchasing it, but as soon as you let your subscription expire, you no longer have access to it.
What?
Yes.
Oh, dear God, please don't do this for other DLC. If Pokemon Legends Arceus and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl have DLC, do not lock it behind this ridiculous subscription service, please.
Honestly, well, not even locking, but putting DLC behind this subscription is I don't understand it at all.
I don't even think Sony and Microsoft do that.
No,
And they're pretty scummy as it is.
I mean, I think Xbox just has Xbox Game Pass, which they just give out games all the time.
Yeah. I mean, they do have a good library, so might as well.
Yeah, that's really the only equivalent we have, but they put good games behind this service. And
But
with
they don't hide DLC behind the service, right? At
not that
least to
I'm
at
not
least
to
to
my
my knowledge.
knowledge,
Yeah.
but the fact that we have DLC locked, and mind you, the online is still not good.
Yeah.
Like the input delay on certain games is beyond awful.
There's a reason why the meta didn't develop in Smash Ultimate for nearly a year.
Yeah, so th- overall, the online did not get better throughout the lifespan of the original pricing, and now they're expecting people to shell $30 more for N64 and Sega Genesis games and a DLC game, or DLC to a game that only probably a third of its player base plays.
Yeah. I mean, if you really want to play N64 games, there's yo ho, a pirate's life to be.
Or the Wii
I mean, a lot of people sold their Wii U's.
U. Yeah, I mean,
You might as well just sail the seven seas than go back to your Wii U. I keep mine because I'm too lazy to sell it.
honestly, the only reason to keep it is because the virtual console still exists on that. Which, by the way, bring the virtual console to the Switch already.
Be careful what you wish for. Considering what they just pulled, you think that the Virtual Console will just tack it all the way up to 100.
Yeah, yeah, that is fair.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Nintendo,
We love your games, but you guys make the stupidest business decisions.
no, not stupid. Greediest. People are so greedy.
But do you think people will even buy this? Because
Yes,
see, no,
yes.
no hesitation to that. Just yes.
Has anything Nintendo done as in terms of pricing ever failed?
Fair. I mean, their games are still marked up like crazy.
Like, let's be honest here. The rage is happening now, but at the end of the day, people are still going to pay for it.
Do you think people will still pay for it for the expansion pass? I mean, people will probably stay with their first level service with just the regular Nintendo Switch Online. But do you think people will actually go the extra step to access that for an extra $30 a year?
Some people will.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
feel like most people, to be perfectly honest with you, I feel like a lot of people that use online don't really care about the old games. But for those who do, they will pay.
yeah, but that's
Because there is something to playing an old Nintendo game on an official Nintendo console. There's just something about that I know fans really love, and there's no way to really describe the logic behind that novelty, but I know it exists and I know people are a fan of it, so I know people will pay.
yeah. I guess what I really mean is like, do you think like more than half of the Switch audience will pay for this expansion pass? Because I'm not.
Yeah, I don't think more than half will pay for it, but I think a sizable chunk will.
Yeah, maybe like a quarter because
Yeah, the biggest thing to tell is how the thing that will really determine whether this succeeds or not is how people make money in this pandemic world. The amount of disposable income that is around right now is, well, if you live in the United States, it's not looking too good. And I think that more than anything will determine whether people pay for it. Not necessarily whether the price is justified, but more if people just have the money to pay.
yeah, which I guess brings up the next question that I've been wondering about is will the outrage and backlash to the price make Nintendo walk it back? Which at this point, as time goes on, I'm questioning if that's even possible at this point.
I feel like the only way Nintendo walks this back is really if the pandemic affects sales.
Yeah, because one
That's
thing I do want to bring up is, do you remember when Xbox, I forget Xbox membership or whatever it's called, when they were
Xbox Live.
Xbox Live? Yes, they told their player base that they were going to double the price from $60 to $120,
Mhm.
and they immediately walked it back in a day.
Yeah, well, that makes sense though. Microsoft, for better or worse, listens to their audience.
I mean, mind you, they actually lose money on their console sales.
Yeah, and especially because Microsoft, out of the big three, isn't the best well received overseas. It makes sense they'll be more in tune to their domestic audience. Meanwhile, Nintendo and Sony, I mean, they're juggernauts.
Yeah,
They got everything. Like, I don't think Nintendo will walk this back unless the pandemic continues to stifle wages for people, meaning there's not enough disposable income for people to pay. And if that is a sizable amount, they may lower the prices just so they can break even.
yeah.
But that's really dependent on that. I think that would be the only thing that I could see them changing it, because I don't think it's going to be outrage.
You don't think?
Nintendo at this point is too big to fail.
Yeah, pretty much. Because, for example, the trailer I believe had 11,000 likes to 13,000 dislikes. Like people are not happy with this.
People weren't fine with Metroid Prime Federation Force. Did that really change anything?
I mean, it's a game, not a necessity to access certain things behind a paywall.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But at the same time, the thing locked behind the paywall is just retro games. If it was new games, I think it'd be worse. But with retro games, I feel the controversy is enough for them to really skirt by.
Yeah, probably.
And I mean, even with the Animal Crossing New Horizons, if this happened last year in the middle of the pandemic, I think controversy would have been big enough because everyone was stuck at home and Animal Crossing just dropped and it was the pandemic game. But now that a year has passed, vaccinations have rolled out, people are coming back to work, the controversy probably just isn't enough.
Right.
Because the biggest thing is that for Nintendo to really walk back something, it really needs to affect like not just gaming but the normie sphere.
Yeah, that is fair because the Xbox Live price increase affected literally everybody.
Yeah.
And it was such a substantive price increase that everybody got mad.
Yeah. Meanwhile, with this, I mean, if little Timmy doesn't care about Nintendo 64 games, he's just gonna just little Timmy's parents are just gonna keep paying for regular.
Yeah,
Because I mean, little Timmy just got Sora for Smash, and then that's who he's gonna be playing on Elite Smash. So
yeah. Honestly, this price increase would probably be more justified if we had two more consoles added to this, or maybe even just Game Boy as a whole, like Game Boy Advance, Game
yeah,
Boy Color. That alone would probably justify it because I think that's as high as we can go as far as retro games are concerned.
I mean, they would also probably need to have a good library of Game Boy games.
That is fair.
Like you can't just repackage Tetris or a 2D Mario game, which the only ones on the Game Boy are remakes, except for the Mario Lands. But like you would have to put on like Pokemon, the Legend of Zelda games,
Yeah,
maybe some third party ones that are on there like Crash.
there are a few Metroid games on the Game Boys as well.
Oh, definitely Metroid. Mario Kart. There's Mario Kart game. There's another big franchise that I am just completely blanking on. Kirby! Kirby! Yes! Kirby.
Yeah,
Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. Great game.
yeah.
Would have loved to see it on the Switch.
But if Nintendo happens to hear this, we're not happy with this decision, and we would love for you to drop the price down or reconsider the whole expansion pass. But ultimately, it's not going to happen, and
Yeah,
we're smart enough to realize that.
yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna pay for it.
Yeah,
That's just way too much money for. That's just way too much money for not enough return. Like, I probably would play some Nintendo 64 games that were on there, but for that price point, nah.
I mean, mind you, Xbox Live is $60, but meanwhile,
You still get way more bang for your buck with $60.
yeah, because Xbox Online is good.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Nintendo Switch Online, the input delay is so atrocious that it makes you want to throw your controller at the wall.
yeah.
And that's really what this whole hatred for Nintendo Switch Online hinges on, is the fact that Nintendo does not have good servers for their online. Hell, I would even argue that the online for the Wii U was better.
I didn't really play much Wii U Online, so I can't really comment on whether Wii U Online was better, but Switch Online definitely is not
Like the only game where it's not noticeable is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
good. Yeah. I mean,
And that's a less precise game, so
yeah.
it's funny that the one game that doesn't require precise inputs is the one that performs well online.
I mean, the only game that I really use for online functionality is Pokemon and Fire Emblem. And Fire Emblem is just so I can get experience in item drops.
Yeah, which there's not really much pushback from that having bad service.
Yeah, I mean, all you really need to do is just exist, and you get free items and experience. And for Pokemon, I mean, battles are not that intensive enough for lag to be a thing.
I mean, literally, you just have load times. That's it.
Yeah,
Like the whole battle system is reliant on loading screens. So
yeah. But anyways, Nintendo, please change. We know you won't, but please do. I'll buy your stuff. if you're reasonable. But you're not being reasonable, so I'm not buying it.
All right.